Chuck sent you a bunch of emails. He was even texting on the plane, so I don't know if he got some sort of. Because I texted him something this morning, he texted back. I was like, I hope the flight's going well, everything's going to land or whatever. And he texted right back, yeah, let's go over there.
You know me, baby primary teacher, correct?
Oh, really? Wow. He is. Like he's a little revised.
Standard order. Please join me in a moment of silence. Join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Please be seated. Thank you. Call our roll. Dr. O'Neill. Present.
Mrs. Barnes Griffin. Mr. Heater is absent. Mr. Irvin.
Present.
Mr. Lowe.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. At this point, Mr. Grimm.
Good evening, President Williams, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. I appreciate the opportunity to share a few highlights and updates from around the district this evening in the administrative report. This week we've kicked off, or this week and a little bit of last week, kicked off Black History Month. Black History Month concerts this week on Friday, February 13th. We have one at 10 and 2 at Northside. If anyone's interested in attending, those are open to the public. And then next Friday on the 20th, we have another set at 10 and 2 at Southside. So if you'd like to come and join Mr. Williams in the festivities, those have been excellent the last several years, so I would invite you to those. We've had a very busy time in band and choir over the last couple weeks. Solo and ensemble for our musicians were a couple weeks ago at Yorktown. Happy to report that every instrumental performer from Northside, Southside, and Central received a gold rating. And Central will be competing at the state on February 28th. And this past weekend, we had choir. That event was hosted at Southside. Northside received 6 gold medals and 3 silver medals. Central received 7 gold solo medals, and 54 students received a gold ensemble medal, and all of Central students will then compete at the state competition on February 21st. We wrapped up our boys wrestling season at the regional this past Saturday, and also finished our girls swimming sectionals this past weekend. So we're kind of winding down winter sports. We have boys swimming sectionals coming up February 19th to the 21st, and then boys basketball sectionals in March. We kicked off the Black History Month with a great weekend at Minnetrista over the weekend. We recognized several members of the student body for their winning Black History Month essays. We had another great showing from our students. Nariah Osborne from Miss Brimberry's class at Longfellow won second in the elementary division. Gianna Williams from Mr. Boys class at Northside won second in the middle school division. And Michaela Gibson from Miss Lecky's class won first place in the high school division. It was actually the second year in a row Michaela has won that contest, and I believe she's going to come and read her essay at the next board meeting on February 24th. So it was a great essay, so we're really looking forward to Michaela coming. She's very proud. She's got her sights set on winning this all 4 years in that event. So. And then finally, we have our Black History Month canned food drive going on in our schools. All these donations go to our school pantries, and the Soup Kitchen of Muncie gets some of those as well. So those are some of the exciting things going around the district.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Any questions for Mr. Grimm? No question. Okay. Grissom Elementary, you're up. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Williams, Dr. Bell, Mr. Grimm, and members of the board. Happy February, almost Valentine's Day. My name is Brittany Charles, and I am the proud principal of Grissom Elementary School. So tonight I have brought some awesome staff with me. They're going to share a little bit about some great things that are happening at Grissom this year. So just to introduce everybody, we've got Jason Bullock. He is our assistant principal. Natalie Garrity is our master teacher. Sierra Watson and Brianna Pryor are our behavior coaches. Bree is a proud product of Muncie Community Schools. And we have Tina Armstrong and Laura Drum here. Gina Beaver is actually at class tonight, so I'm going to fill in for her on her part, and they are a part of our resource team at Grissom. So this is just a general overview of the breakdown of the number of sections we have, teaching staff, number of students at Grissom. Not much has changed in this from this year as compared to last year. What you will see that has changed that we are really proud of are some of our school goals. So back when we started with the SIG grant, Grissom was at about an 86% attendance rate. We have continued to maintain our attendance. Right now we're at about 92%. So we're almost through cold and flu season, so we're really proud of that percentage. So still have an attendance increase, a decrease in suspensions, a 10% increase in the summative ELA and Math I Learned. And I Read 3, we are so proud that our goal this year for our first round is going to be an 82% pass on that I Read 3 assessment, which is an impressive jump from where we were at this time last year. So Grissom is pretty proud of a couple of awards that we received. One we received in May of last year, and that was at the Indiana Department of Education, designated Grissom as a family-friendly school. So what makes this award one that I'm personally proud of is that the parents of Grissom and the staff had a say in an anonymous survey where they rated different categories about our school and how we welcome them and involve them in activities and allow them to be a partner in their child's school experience, and how we include families and events and represent different backgrounds and culture. So we're pretty proud that our school is a family-friendly school. And then we were recognized in August at a state school board meeting for having one of the highest jumps in the state on the I Read 3 assessment, and we were at about a 35% increase in that. So that's huge to go from about like a 42% passing rate to where we were at last year. So we're pretty proud of both of those designations, and that Grissom was able to be recognized at the state level again for this school year. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bullock, and he is going to share a little bit with you about what we have done this year from a behavior standpoint.
Good evening, everyone. So glad to be here. As what was mentioned earlier from Ms. Charles, one of our goals was to decrease our OSS from last school year to this school year by 20%. And so some of the things that we really focused on this school year was really looking at our MTSS process and making sure that we are really being targeted in our intervention groups, helping students obtain the skills that they need to be successful in the classroom academically, utilizing that iReady and that DIBELS data to drive that instruction within our intervention groups. We have also been very purposeful in our parent communication across the board, to weekly newsletters, having active PTO meetings, and growing our PTO has been one of the big things that we've been trying to do as well. We do preventative conferences. If we notice that a student might be uptaking in behavior, we make some phone calls, see if they want to come in, have a conference, see if there's any supports or anything that they may need to help support that child within the classroom setting. We also utilize positive office referrals. So teachers can nominate students that are doing a great job or have seen a change in their behavior and doing some amazing things. They present a positive office referral and it's announced on the announcements, and we call home to talk about the great things that their child is doing. We also do Student of the Month. So the Student of the Month process is our school counselor leads that, and teachers nominate students for each month based off of a monthly target or a monthly characteristic, and they get nominated and recognized monthly. And then we also revamped PBIS this year. That was one of our biggest initiatives leaving last school year and going into this school year, where we're utilizing a system called AstroBucks, where we give students, it's a token economy across the whole building, where they are given dollars or AstroBucks to then purchase things at the end of the month through the Astro store, where we have a lot of great prizes and different things that students are really motivated by. And we utilize a star system across the entire building. So it's consistent messaging across all classrooms on positive behaviors. And they have daily, weekly, monthly incentives and whole school middle of year behavior incentive as well. So a lot of these things have been proactive pieces that we've really tried to implement. And to talk about some of those proactive things a little bit more, I'm going to pass it over to one of our behavior coaches, Miss Sierra, to talk about that.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
So my part of our proactive interventions will be about more of like family and connections. So the first one is going to be our one-on-one with our caseload students. Miss Bree and I each have about 7 students right now that we work one-on-one with. We take walkie calls for them. We take data on them. We interact with them and their teacher. Just trying to make sure that they enjoy being in their classroom, enjoy being at school. Just really building a connection with them. Sometimes we'll sit with them. They can eat lunch with us. Just anything that they prefer. And then making behavior support plans for them. We sit down in their classroom and kind of observe them for, I would say, about 2 weeks and put together a bunch of data, and we go over that with Abigail Dale and make a behavior plan for them to put in place. And then we'll sit down with their teacher and explain everything to them, make sure that they're comfortable if they have any questions. And then we let the teacher use it. We can go back in and make sure that it's appropriately being used or that it's actually helping the student. If it's not, we can change anything, we can add stuff. We can even end the plan completely if they don't need it anymore. So, oh, one more slide. They can. We can sit down and ask them like what they would like to see. If we do any of the token boards that they can earn throughout the day, they can have a say in like the theme, how many they want, just kind of personalizing it to them, yes. And then our new tracking form, we were just kind of documenting all of our walkie calls and regulation room data on just a normal Excel spreadsheet, but we switched it to a Google form that the teachers fill out when they make a walkie call. It's made it a lot easier for us to collect data, put it together for meetings, put it together for Ms. Charles and Mr. Bullock if they need it just very easily. It's also, we've gotten a lot of positives from the teachers as well for it. It's super fast for them to put it in. It's just about, I think, 10 things that they have to click. And then I also made a QR code for them, so that they can use.
Blow that up just a little bit. Is that?
If a student engages in anything like aggressive behaviors, like punching, kicking, knocking things over, or disruption of the learning environment, and then running out, elopement. So if
They're called out of they go out, and how long are they like out?
it kind of just depends on the situation, but the teacher would call for us and use one of our codes, and then we would come assist them. We'll remove the student if need be, and then we'll try to reintegrate them into the classroom. The data that I have on the slide, the pie charts, is just kind of what the Google form breaks it down for us. This is not all of it. This is just what I could fit into my slide for you guys. But this is just the pie charts of the teacher name is the top one. The bottom one is the location of the incident or the behavior. I think the blue is classroom, so most of our walkie calls come from the classroom. And then the other one with all the lines, that one is the behavior, so that breaks it down into which behavior we see the most, which behavior we see the least. And then the other picture at the top is just what the top part of the form looks like. It's not all of it, because again, I could not fit it all in there. But that's just kind of an overview of what it looks like when the teacher goes to scan the QR code. That's what's gonna come up.
What's the behavior you see the most?
I'm sorry, I couldn't
What
hear.
is the behavior you see the most?
I would say disruption and non-compliant, defiance and non-compliant. Oh my gosh, disruption. I'm so sorry.
Then, so that's the bar, on the bar graph that's the furthest out to the right.
Yes, that one. Well, the one that her cursor is on, that's elopement, so that would be running out. And then the very top one is non-compliance, so the defiance.
So you're working with about 7 students, did I hear that correctly?
We work with pretty much all of the students in the building, but the 7 students are the kids that we see need the most assistance, and that we know we can kind of de-escalate them and get them calmed down with a plan and have that put in place, especially because it helps the teacher too.
So your enrollment at Grissom is 470. 470 individual students, how many have you had contact with, if you know the answer?
I unfortunately do not. I mean, I've worked at Grissom this will be my 3rd year, so it's.
I meant, yeah, just within 1 year, I meant.
Yeah.
So do you have any,
I don't have a definite amount. I'm sorry.
oh, no, that's all right.
Okay.
And how many contacts overall have you had this year? I'm just trying to get a sense of how many calls you've
Our
received.
average
I would-
walkie call rate, like, so when you get closer to breaks, the walkie call rates do up a little bit, because kids are sensing breaks kind of apart from school. So those average around like 12-ish. I would say our average for this month right now per day is like 4 or 5, yeah.
When you say walkie call, spell that for me.
Like a walkie-talkie call.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I should have been
Every
more
classroom in the
specific
building
about
has a
that.
walkie-talkie, and they can radio if there are disruptions or issues within the classroom environment, that we respond.
So then you get a call, and how many people work with you on this? 2, 3?
Well, there's Bree and
3.
I, and then we also have others on the student support team that can answer the walkie calls as well if we are busy or with a student.
Okay. And you've got what you characterized, I think, as 7 pretty chronic.
Yes, so
Students.
far. We can add more throughout the year, but so far we just have 7 right now each.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, no, that,
Yeah.
so that's relatively minuscule when compared to the enrollment.
Yes, and most of them that we have on our caseload so far have decreased in behaviors, and they are able to maintain a full school day just in their classroom positively.
So have you had, I'm assuming you have had then, based on that statement, you've had students who've passed out of your program?
Yes, I actually have a 4th grader that he no longer needs any of his stuff, and he does really well with his teacher, and he checks in with us on his grades and
Okay, good.
gets prizes if he keeps his grades up.
Good.
I'm gonna pass it on to Ms. Bree.
Hi, Bree.
Hi, everyone. So my part, I'm going to talk about 3 of the main things we've hit pretty hard, which is the incentives. Teacher mentoring is what we do that is new this year, and scheduled breaks. So for incentives, as Mr. Bullock said, we have the Astro Store. Students can earn Astro Bucks. The denomination is 1, 5s, and 10s based on their school expectations. So if you're doing a good act or walking nice in the hallway, you can get an Astro Buck. It happens, we shop once a month at the very end of the month. We like to take a poll to students to see what they like so we can get new stuff rotating in and out the store. But yeah, they can shop from there, and it's a good little incentive and a good congratulations, keep up the good work at the end of the year. Well, not year, month for them. A new thing that Sierra and I started with the teachers to build teacher momentum and just a positive atmosphere for them is Teacher of the Week. So we'll discuss at the end of the week or beginning of the week, we'll pick two teachers who have shown Grissom pride pretty much. They've been active in the classrooms, using the try-3 methods for us, very much communicating and just doing everything that they need to do. And then they will get a certificate with their name on it, a little blurb on the back about how they've been amazing for the last week. And then they'll get a little astronaut pin, because, you know, Astros, super cool. And then they will get a 20-minute break pass where we go to their classroom, and it can be during recess or it can be during their lunch with the classroom, where we'll watch their class for them so they can just take a relaxing break, and then they'll be able to come back. And then we have student punch cards. We do this mainly with our 7-on-7 kiddos that we have. The punch card is basically you keep your 2 out of 3 PBS stars or more, you get a hole punch. Once you get the 10 hole punches, you get your prize that you asked for. And it's just a good way to keep them on track behaviorally. Teacher. Try three. We're getting that for teacher mentoring. So for teacher mentoring, it starts with an initial meeting where we are focusing on teachers who may need the extra support throughout the school year or just throughout the week. So some of our heavy hitters that we have that we've mentioned. So we'll schedule a meeting with them. We'll ask them how it's going in the classroom, what behaviors they're seeing, and what we can do to assist them. And like, even if it's, do you need help rearranging your room? Do we need to go over the behavior school plan again? So we'll do that. And then we looped our master teacher, Natalie, in because our biggest focus was that we never ran a classroom. As a behavior coach, we never ran the classroom. We are never in control of 18 students at a time. So it would be easier for her to be like, okay, this is how we see it in the classroom. This might work better in this. So just a lot of support staff collaborating with teachers to try to build the best atmosphere for the child. So we'll do that. And then, like I said, we'll utilize the calm down corner that's in the room. Specific VSPs, we handwrite them per student, as Sierra mentioned, and then just organization, desk placement, if they need to be in an island by themselves, or if they can be with classmates at a smaller group table, just whatever helps out better. And then the try-3 method was, we have a try-3 method. It's a piece of paper, and we call it try-3 before me. So it's try 3 of these things on the list before you walkie call. So as a requirement, they have to do the calm down corner. Calm down corner is just a spot in your classroom that's quiet, away from foot traffic, that has like fidgets or books or just something they can do to try to self-regulate before we naturally put them out of the learning environment. So they have that. You can utilize pivotal praise, planned ignoring, all this, like it's a list of probably like 20 tips that you can use. And the thing is, you have to try 5 minutes of each with a 5-minute rest period in between before we can make a walkie call, because we want to keep them in the classroom instead of always pulling them out the classroom. And if you need help with assistance, you can walkie for us to come and help you utilize it just so we can focus on keeping them in for instructional time. So that's our try-3 method. And the last thing we're going to talk about is scheduled breaks. So scheduled breaks is usually, we have roughly 20 kids, I would say, on a scheduled break, AM and PM. They come down at a designated time throughout the day, come down for only 10 minutes just to reset, check in with us, mood checks. If you need anything, we got you. And then they go back to class. And if they need an additional break, they can take an additional break in their classroom at their teacher's discretion, which is the earned break point. Earned breaks are usually just if you're following the teacher's rules, expectations, pretty much whatever the teacher asks you to do, you can earn an additional break in the classroom in the calm down corner for about 10 minutes. And then a reset break. Reset break happens if we are dysregulated and we cannot regulate back in the classroom. Then they would fill out a regulation room pass that has the try-3 methods on it. And then they would come down and then they would take a break with us for about 10 minutes. We will help them reset and regulate, and then we will push back into the class with them. And we would stay in the classroom for 5 minutes with them and then transition out. So that's pretty much all of our proactive interventions that we have.
So I wanted to also share just some of our current data to kind of showcase where the rubber meets the road on where we are at utilizing these proactive strategies and interventions and with our awesome team at Grissom. And so when we talked about at the very beginning, one of our goals was decreasing OSS by 20%. Last year, at the end of the year, we had about 144 out of school suspensions. And at the end of January last year, we had 83 suspensions at the end of January 2025. At the end of January of 2026, we had only had 50 OSS situations for students to be out of the school. So we've decreased that year to year, 33 OSS incidents over the course of that year. And you can also tell from the graph here on the right that this is a decrease in overall incidents across the different months. And so the green is the current year, and the orange is from last year. And you can see how our trend for that data is also decreasing. And so last year, for the whole school year of 24-25, we had 447 total incidents. And at the end of January this year, we were at 237 total incidents by the end of January. So we're on track to be smaller than both of those numbers by the end of the school year, based off of the great work and the proactive strategies that we're utilizing to really support students and support the whole child, not just one part of them. We're wanting to really focus on the whole child to make sure that they have the skills, they have the tools that they can be successful in the classroom, and our teachers feel supported on a daily basis.
So how do we characterize an incident? What's an incident defined as?
Great question. So an incident is any time that there is a situation where maybe a walkie call has happened, or maybe there's an aggressive situation or a disrespectful or disruptive situation that the classroom teacher has reported to us. We usually, once we find out some more information, we do some investigating about how it's happened. We usually go back and ask that teacher, can you put an incident form into Power School to document the behavior? And when those referrals go into our system, those incident referrals, there's always a consequence tagged to those of some way, shape, or form based off of the situation that transpired.
So that is form driven by the teacher.
Yes. So once that student is out of the classroom or taking a break, depending on the situation, we have them go back in and put in an incident, or myself or Ms. Charles will type up the incident as well. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to pass it off to Ms. Gary to talk about our common formative assessments.
All right, so we have implemented something called the Common Formative Assessments this year and drive to helping our iLearn performance scores. These Common Formative Assessments are given weekly to our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classrooms, and they align with the checkpoints that are given. So right now, we are starting on focusing on checkpoint 3 with iLearn. This is year 2 of iLearn checkpoints, so I think the whole state as a whole has kind of seen how they want to take that data and drive it within their classrooms. And so one thing that we have implemented is each week they are given an ELA, so a reading quiz, and then a math quiz. And they are 4 questions. These are just a small screenshot snippet of the standard. But it has been a great tool for our 3, 4, 5 teachers because it also lets them know within that standard where there are misconceptions, where there needs to be some reteaching, or even what are my students doing really well at within that standard. It's also, the questions are given from the item specifications at proficiency. So these are question types that they would see on iLearn if they were at grade level. It's also a nice tool because it gives them exposure to the different style of questions that they will see on that test as well. So we give it to them on Friday. Every Wednesday, they meet with me. We go look over their data. We go question by question for each classroom. They talk about the performance. We see if we can right away see if there's misconceptions. And then we also create a game plan for them to be reteaching that during their small group instruction time. We have been really proud of our students and the way of within that standard, we've seen an increase in their performance this year as well. And we use those checkpoints to really hopefully get us on track with our school goal of increasing our performance with the iLearn summative assessment.
So what does the graph and percentages at the bottom explain what those mean?
I keep a digital spreadsheet of how each teacher performs within the standard. So this is a screenshot of a third grade CFA report, and so I have the standard, and then I have the percent for each teacher. And what's really neat about this is, like, you can see within the standard, like this classroom, 16% of them got it correct, but then 63% got it correct within the same standard, but it's just a different style of question. So that helps us hone in on where that misconception is within that standard for mastery. And then I have this like for every single one they have, so then we can see the growth, or if there's all of a sudden another misconception out of this.
Okay, so, and I know I discussed this with Dr. Reynolds, but the common formative is new, correct? What about iRead? Where are you guys on iRead?
Yeah, so for iRead 3, we have amazing intervention teachers, and if the students performed at a red or yellow within second and third grade, they are getting intervention time, every single one of them for second and third grade. And then we also, for our second grade classrooms, we have them getting instruction differentiated with UFly, which is a phonics-based instruction curriculum. And that we've seen a big growth in our second graders. So we're really looking forward to seeing the results with iRead 3 with our second grade class of wanting to reach that 50% pass rate with them.
Did you, I'm assuming you had a middle of the year assessment on iRead?
Mm-hmm. With iReady. So we don't have an iRead 3 middle of the
Okay.
year assessment.
So do we have a sense of where we are on reading?
Yeah, we feel really good about where they're at. The fluency and the phonics instruction of our second and third graders, we feel really good with where we're at. The intervention plan that we started this year, we did not start until March of last year.
Okay.
So we started intervention 2 weeks earlier this year than where we were able to start it the previous year. So we're pretty hopeful for iRead 3 for the first round. We're especially excited for our second graders because we really have been intentional with second grade this year, and wanting to get as many of those second graders to pass so that it doesn't become a third grade remediation situation. And then we also have that retention piece tied to
Right,
it.
right.
We really would like to eliminate that as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think, obviously, from the perspective of MCS and building for the future, as many folks we can have reading at grade level, and it's not that I'm disinterested in this, I am interested, but I want that other piece pretty firmly in place, and obviously and I assume the common formative was prescribed by the state, right?
So Mr. Bullock actually put those together.
Okay, okay. So that's something that we developed internally. Okay, okay. And how do our teachers feel about it?
I think that they've seen like the growth within the standard, so their buy-in has been a lot more. At first, I think they were like, oh, it's another thing to give our kids another quiz. But like I said, it's only 4 questions for each. So it's just a very quick assessment that is done.
And so what is the attitude of the students as we, get into February and we've got all this going on? How are they doing?
I will say, I feel like the formative assessments, as we get closer to the checkpoints, the interest of the students decreases. But like I said, since I have those intentional planning meetings with them every Wednesday, and those teachers are giving that time of reteaching, it's kind of made the students buy into their performance as well.
We incentivize performance.
Yeah, and I really am just curious about taking, the barometer of where your students are. Are they having a good year overall, do you think? I've heard good stuff about behavior, but you're in the building, kind of give me your 30,000-foot view of where they are.
Yeah, I think that when thinking about when we first started the CFAs for the first round, I think students were really kind of struggled with the concept of doing the one more thing, but the more that we talked to the teachers about the importance of it and how to drive that instruction, and like teachers have had conversations with students about like, this is gonna help me so that I can help you more. So really talking to them about like taking things seriously, really thinking about honing in on that specific standard has really helped some of the tone and the timbre that teachers have around this type of assessment with the students. And the students, I feel like we don't really have many behavior situations that arise when students are taking CFAs. They've gotten into the routine of it and they do the assessment, and then the teachers utilize that data to then drive their instruction moving forward in the next week.
Okay. Is there anything you need from us
For something for CFAs.
for this, reading, anything? I'm cutting you off, but
I mean, I don't think so as of right now. I will say too, the standards that I have utilized, when I design and map out for the checkpoints, I tie it back to the blueprints that the DOE has released and look at the proficiency pieces within the item specifications. And some of the reading foundational standards for third grade, those are some really big ones that third grade teachers really also dig into a little bit more, because those are also standards that they will see on iRead, and that really helps to inform teachers on how to more target those skills.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Tina Armstrong. I'm part of the resource team at Grissom. Gina Beaver is the one that put together our slides. Okay. Laura Drum is another part of our team, and we're here to tell you a little bit about what's going on at Grissom. Okay. I'm going to let Ms. Charles kind of explain a little bit about trackers and data, because that is Ms. Beaver's a definite strength for her.
Yeah, so everything that we do at Grissom is driven based on data. Nothing is based on feelings or I think, I wonder. It's definitely all based on data. So we know that kiddos that we see in the resource room, sometimes we see them because they have academic deficits that need to be met, but sometimes they have social and behavioral deficits that we're trying to build. So what we do is, if we have a kiddo, and Gina is phenomenal at this, if we have a kiddo that has minutes in their IEP for behavior support services, she creates a behavior tracker for that kiddo. Now that's separate from what Bree and Cedar do, because these kiddos have individualized IEPs and we need to monitor their progress. So Gina creates these trackers, we push them out to classroom teachers, we meet with them, and then we track data on kiddos over time. And so I keep telling these ladies they're going to start working themselves out of a job, because they've done such an awesome job this year, both with behavior and academics, through their data collection of showing that with targeted supports and interventions and collecting data and sticking to the plans, our kiddos have shown a lot of growth, and we have been able to reduce minutes and IEPs both for behavior and academics. And Gina definitely is the charge from the behavioral side of things with all of our resources.
Okay, and I'm new to the district this year. I am a 23-year veteran special education teacher, but I am new to the district and new to Grissom. So I am the teacher of record for grades 2 through 4, the resource students, because we also do have the applied skills in our building. And I want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to speak. I never talked at a school board meeting before. So we also have another slide that has more data and growth when it comes to academics. And Ms. Charles is going to talk about that one too in just a minute. But we have a team of 3 teachers and 2 instructional assistants that cover all of our academic, behavior, social, emotional IEPs. Besides just working with those students, we do work with students through an inclusion setting as well, and Ms. Drum will talk to you about that. So although we each have our respective grade levels, where we conduct many visible and invisible duties, one important aspect of being part of the resource team is that we do more than work within our assigned grades. We also support and teach students across multiple grade levels, impacting students' progress throughout the entire school. In addition to our everyday special education teacher duties, each of us brings unique strengths and enhance our team and better support our students. We ensure that compliance and high-quality instruction are happening at the same time through direct instruction in our pull-out groups and through inclusion. We are not isolated to one room or one grade level. I feel that I have personally been able to introduce some strategies that were new to Grissom, and I've seen those strategies contribute to the increased academic growth for our students. Like we said, Miss B. Regina, she is really good. We all have our own strengths. She has her, what is it, her ABA, and she's going to school for transfer teaching. So she is one piece. I think I bring in one piece that I've had for a long time, and then Mrs. Drum has the inclusion piece. We do not just work with each other, we work with all the staff. We work with our behavior coaches, we work with our master teacher, our admin, our specials teachers. So all Grissom students are our students. And if I would have known I had a lot more time to talk, I would have prepared a lot more. So I do want to, before I turn it over to Laura, I want to invite you guys, if you have questions or want to see anything, I open my classroom to anybody who wants to come by and see. I did pick one video that is on the other slide. We have started, it will not play on this, but I'm hoping that you guys can access it outside of here. We have started just making some dummy videos. I don't want to say dummy videos, but we use the adults. Yeah, instructional videos to show the strategies that we use so that if we have turnover in instructional assistants, we have those that they can go back and watch too, because sometimes our instructional assistants have to use the strategies that we use. And I'm very much a teach through all modalities of learning type of teacher, and I need to see it, I need to do it, and so having the videos. The reason we decided to do a video, Miss Heidi, Mrs. White, she one day was walking around our school and she had come into our classroom when I was teaching a second grade group. She sat down and then afterwards she was talking about how it was very intentional and it was very individualized, the lesson that she was seeing, because not all the kids had the same high frequency words. And then she even sent a message my admin, say it was a great job. So this is just a little snippet of something, one of the strategies that we've kind of been doing at Grissom. So I'm going to let Laura.
Well, and as many of you know, I've been at Grissom for many years. When I first started as a resource teacher, I was the only resource teacher. And Grissom's truly where my heart is. So, but as student needs have grown, our resource team has grown as well. And we are fortunate now to have 3 resource teachers. This year, I feel that we have an exceptional resource team. The 3 of us work closely together with our 2 instructional assistants to support a large, diverse caseload. We collaborate daily, which allows us to meet the needs efficiently and effectively of each of our students. While we continue to provide traditional pull-out services in small group instruction, as the typical resource model is, we also are strong advocates of push-in support. Push-in support allows us, the resource team, to work alongside students in the general ed classroom during Tier 1 instruction, and this increases the students' access to the grade level curriculum, which helps to ensure, and we also help to ensure that any accommodation or modifications that have been written into their IEPs are implemented in real time in the classroom and not after instruction. So push-in support also promotes inclusion and reduces a stigma that is sometimes associated with being pulled out for special education services. Additionally, push-in support has been shown to reduce educational gaps and may decrease the need for more intensive supports in the future. So that's our hope. Our team meets weekly to review student needs, and in many discussions, Tina and Gina, which have the older kiddos, they have often said how beneficial it would be to offer more or increase push-in time into the classrooms. However, with a tight schedule and limited staff, sometimes that's just not possible. But for this reason, and looking forward to next school year, we are hopeful that our resource team will maintain the 3 resource teachers and 2 instructional assistants, as it's critical to meet the growing needs of all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna come up and put my data coach hat back on. If you slide back to the previous slide for me. Oh, the one that has the academic data on it for me. Yep, you're gonna go the other way for me. Keep going. Yep. Yep. Nope. Okay, so we give a Dibbles assessment 3 times a year, at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. And our goal this year at Grissom was, 1, initiative from a behavior standpoint to see more proactive interventions, but 2, we wanted to strengthen our resource team and what our kiddos were doing in resource, because we know that the goal, as Mr. Williams has said, is that all of our children in MCS are functional readers, and that is regardless if they have or do not have an IEP. So we have worked really hard. We've met weekly. We've tracked data. These ladies have worked their tails off. And so middle of the year, I said, okay, my intervention teachers made me a spreadsheet from BOY to MOY with growth. Can you ladies do the same thing for me? And they did. And so these graphs are the results of really of all of their hard work. So you'll see on the left-hand side is the average of all 3 teachers of the students that are on their caseloads at the beginning of the year versus the middle of the year. And then the graph on the right shows the average point growth for the students on their caseloads. And Mrs. Beaver sees 5th graders. You have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then Mrs. Drum has the littles, that we share kids across the board just because some of the grade levels, there are a higher number of kiddos in those grade levels. And then the light green is just the average related growth that we should expect to see for students at that particular level. So they really knocked it out of the park. I keep saying that eventually we probably aren't going to need a big resource team, but for now, we're thankful that it was prioritized last year, and we wanted you guys to know as a school board that your investment in adding a 3rd resource teacher and a 2nd behavior coach through SIG really has paid off at Grissom. So, can switch to the last slide. I know I'm over my 10-minute average, and I like to be.
Just a second. Could you blow that up for me?
Yep.
I'm having trouble seeing it. So the growth there, and the graph is by teacher, correct? So
by resource teacher, yes.
By resource teacher.
Yes, and so these are kiddos that have grown, even though they've been identified as having a learning disability in reading, they still have grown. So typical growth, what we say is good growth from BOY to MOY is between like 40 and 50 points. So when you average the kiddos on their caseload, they've made really great growth so far this year.
Okay, and then over to the side, the bar graph, the average growth versus the relative growth. Explain to me again the relative.
So the average growth is the average growth per like student that's in resource.
Okay, and remind me of how many students each of these teachers have.
So I have 26 on my caseload. Gina has 23 or 4. And Laura has 23.
And that includes pre-K to 4.
And
okay.
So what's really neat with Grissom is, like, when we go to teach the 4th grade group or the 5th grade group, we are able to individualize even more within that grade level. So we look at skills, we look at our data, and then we come up with small groups within our resource room, because it takes 3 teachers to teach 25 5th graders at one time, or 13 4th graders. And so then we're able to really hone in on those skills.
Okay. Well, this is pretty impressive, and so thank you. I mean, I think that's pretty remarkable growth.
We had one 4th grader, I know my time's up, but we had one 4th grader, and we all work with her, but I think she grew like almost 90 points from the beginning to the middle of the year. And I just found that phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Ms. Charles was optimistic, but I don't see the need for this changing, frankly. I think you'll have a job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, we invite you guys.
And then I think
Yeah.
when we loaded our slides, maybe the formatting, Cynthia, was a little bit off. But a big part of Grissom is just we love the holidays. We love the seasons. It's elementary school. We want to have a positive school culture. And so we work really hard, Mr. Bullock, Mrs. Garrity, and I, to have lots of fun, incentives for staff, for students, for families. And that definitely could not be possible without our community partners and the generosity of our churches in Meridian. So we didn't want to have our presentation tonight without thanking the gracious support of the board and of our churches and additional community partners.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for all your
Have a
work.
good night.
Forest Academy. How's everything going on at your shop?
Good. Good evening. I'm Mallory McCullough, Program Coordinator out at Camp Adventure. This is Kendra Girdham. She's our pre-K kindergarten teacher out at the Forest Academy. So 7 months ago, I came to you guys and proposed the idea to have the Forest Academy out at Camp Adventure with a design intentionally thought out and processed. We wanted nature-based, hands-on learning experiences, and then the Montessori-inspired piece. So today, I'm going to present student outcomes, progress, and all the learning that's happening. So goals. We started out, these goals have not changed since the beginning of the time. We want to develop independent, self-directed learners. So as you can see in this picture at the bottom here, one of the things we do for that is we do our Montessori work cycles. Students are they are allowed to choose what materials that have been prepared for them, and this really develops their independence, and then they can self-direct in the work cycle. We also wanted to strengthen academic skills through hands-on outdoor learning. So that top picture there, this is one of the very first lessons that Mrs. Girdham did at the very beginning of the year. Montessori piece has a huge sensorial curriculum. That's one of the big Montessori components. Sensorial just means it allows the kids to recognize and understand the world around them. So she has the little gradient box which covers all different kinds of textures. So, and then obviously sensorial uses all your senses. So the kids found all of the sticks, they were lining them up by smallest to largest, but also recognizing the smooth and different textures. So that's just one example of how we use hands-on learning outdoors. And then we want to build on problem solving and that critical thinking piece. So over here, this was probably one of my favorite lessons that we did outdoors. The students built a boat. They were learning about sinking and floating. So they could use any natural materials around them, and then we provided them a water bottle, tape, that's all. They came up with their own invention of whether this was going to sink or float. Some of them added tons of rocks. Some of them added glitter glue. It was just all the things, and then we actually put it into place. That's Mrs. Girdham in the creek. She dropped all of their bottles in, which then kind of originated into, oh my gosh, let's see how fast they go. So then the kids would take them, they changed, some of them broke their sticks, some of them added rocks in, learning, oh, I need to change this to make it go faster. And then they were racing, and then they were adding. So all of that, they're collaborating, they're learning, they're taking responsibility for their own learning. So that was another goal that we have implemented. And then obviously just creating that sustainable nature learning-based model. What does a typical day look like? The kids get there, they arrive at 8:30. They have a morning routine of, sometimes it's an outdoor walk just to reset. Right now, it's really, we circle up and try to build that community in a circle. Mrs. Girdham usually does some type of Montessori presentation or talking to the kids, again, building that community. We go over a lot of different phonics sounds, words of the day, anything, but really that community piece is building in the morning. Then they break off and they do their work cycle. We are up to, I think, 2 hours of the work cycle time, which at the beginning, I think it was probably 10 minutes of engaged work cycle time. So we are at the 2-hour mark. Mrs. Girdham and Miss Littler, Miss Littler is the instructional assistant of the classroom. They usually have prepared works with our CKLA instruction or some type of math standards. They'll pull students in small groups based on their targeted instruction or need at that time. But the students have the autonomy to go on the shelves and pick the different prepared work that Mrs. Girdham has created that morning. And it does change because learning changes every day based on their needs. The academics, they get all of the academics just like a traditional classroom, but it's stationed into different components. So we do add a little bit different. We do have the sensorial piece, and then we do have the practical living. So the students are learning how to cook, they're learning how to clean, they're learning how to sweep and mop up their messes. That's not really traditional in a regular classroom. But we do the science, math, social studies, and all of that. We also embed the CKLA Science of Reading into the small group instruction. Oh, wait, go back. I wanted to point out, that picture that's above, this is our botany cabinet. And you may think, well, why are they working with leaves? Well, we try to really put in real life experiences. So this is a pre-writing activity. Students can trace the shapes of the leaves, and then the next step would be to use a pencil to start that pre-writing of tracing around those insects. And then eventually they'll get to reading the vocabulary of the different types of leaves. So we're out in the woods, they're learning the different leaves, so we're really putting in those real world experiences into action. Another picture right here at the bottom corner, this was probably another one of the students' favorite activities. We were trying to find ways to get the kids engaged with fine motor skills, to get that pre-writing component down. So we got hammers and nails. And because we are mixed age, we have pre-K and K. One of our older students, he's one of the leaders of the classroom, he showed all the students how to hammer a nail into the wooden slabs here. So really great experience in all different ways, but honing in on that fine motor skills in an engaging way. So a lot of our academics, we monitor through student work and observation, but now we're ready to go. We also do several different types of data points. We do the DIBELS, and we do progress monitor through the CKLA benchmarks and the progress monitoring tools. This is the kindergarten iReady data. So if you look, we took our 8 kindergarten students and we compared them to the 60 kindergarten students at Grissom. And you can see overall, we are very comparable in reading. If we break it down further, you can notice that our phonics and phonemic awareness are some of our strengths at the Forest Academy. We do realize there is a deficit for vocabulary and fiction comprehension. And typically in the Montessori environment, once the language development catches up to the decoding, you'll see an influx in those scores. So we're thinking at the end of the year, those scores will grow. I do want to point out that the comprehension nonfiction, that is one of our strengths. Obviously, we're outside, we're doing real world things, so the nonfiction is one of the strengths at the Forest Academy. Our pre-K data was looking really awesome. So that dotted line that's in the middle, that is, according to the early literacy standards for pre-K students, they should know at least 13 letters at the end of the year. You can see our 5 students are already well beyond that. The 2 that you see at the end here, those students joined us at the semester, so they'll get right up to where they're supposed to be at the end of the year. I also want to point out the letter to sound recognition from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year exponentially grew. And these are our pre-K students with their sounds. And then student growth and outcomes, all the things we do have high student engagement. And looking at our attendance, it is very comparable to the attendance of the kindergarten at Grissom. really try to increase that independence with the Montessori work cycles, and their self-regulation has grown exponentially from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, or to the middle of the year. Strong collaboration and communication skills. We really try to allow the students to communicate through behavioral issues that they're having. We really try to have them communicate to each other. Obviously, adults are present for that, but we really try to help them become more independent problem solving and conflict resolution. And then improved academic stamina and focus. Like I said, at the beginning of the year, 10 minutes was pushing it for that work cycle time, and now we're already at 2 hours and those students are still engaged. And then at that 2 hour mark, it's like, it's lunchtime. They're ready. And then I will say this program's success so far could not be happening if it wasn't for the families that we have at the Forest Academy. They have gone above and beyond. It's been phenomenal to have so much support, and our community partners. We did a beginning of the year survey of the parents and a middle of the year survey of the parents. We had a lot of increase with positive remarks, but I also pulled some quotes that we had a lot, but I pulled some of the key quotes from the parents that they said. And you'll notice that a lot of the parents saw more confidence in their students. They saw that they've grown independently, and then they really enjoy that outside time that the students are getting. We are spending usually an hour outside, and sometimes it's free play, but sometimes it's academic driven based on the skills that they're doing during their work cycle. Some of the community events we just had Forest of Lights Saturday. It was a really cool event, walk through the woods, and the Forest Academy parents helped to put that on. Our teepee fell down, I think 2 years ago, and we had a family that helped bring it back to life, and they actually did a drum circle with our kids. So Montessori inspired, because we're all about trying to implement all different types of culture into the classroom. This is a mother that came in to read. She read in Spanish alongside Mrs. Girdham reading in English. It was really cool for the kids to see that. And then we try to go on a field trip every month just to get the kids out in the community and also to build on those real life experiences. And then after 7 months and talking about here's what the design's supposed to do, this video, which won't work, you'll have to watch it on your own, but this video shows the design in action, and it's working. So,
any questions? Anything?
I wanted to just ask, I was curious about the light. What were y'all doing? What were they doing?
So we set up luminaries around the trail at camp. We had some community partners that had outdoor resources or events going on. The goal of it was to try to get families outside more. Nature is important. We expressed that at the Forest Academy, and we're hoping to change that mindset with the community too. And it was also a fundraiser piece too. Yes, we had over 100 people attend, even in the cold temperatures, so that was really awesome.
So you've had a lot of visitors this year, right?
Yes, yes.
What has been the feedback from them?
The visitor feedback, like just from Forest Academy parents or partners or?
Partners, funders, people in the community.
So I would say the biggest feedback that I keep hearing is, I am so glad that Muncie brought this to the community. This is something that's needed in our community. It's another place for students that may not work in a traditional environment. They get the opportunity to experience learning in a different way.
So to your question, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I went out there with the Wall Brothers Foundation. It was a buzz on the bus when we got back. That's an amazing place.
It
Really
is,
amazing.
it is.
If I were a kid again, I'd want to stay out there.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful facility.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yes, I did not say it. So we have, we started the year with 14, we went down to 13, and now, after the semester, we are back at 16. So we have 8 kindergarten and 8 pre-K, so half and half. And the enrollment, we already sent out interest forms, and our enrollment looks pretty promising for next year too. So
you take the pre-K to kindergarten, right?
yes, so next year the goal is to take all of the kindergarten, they'll be first grade, and take all the pre-K, they'll be kindergarten. So we'll have a K1 class next year.
Anything you need?
I don't think so.
Well, thank you. Keep us advised on how it's going,
Yeah, absolutely.
and really, really proud of the work you've done out there.
Yes, thank
So
you.
cool sweatshirts.
Yes, yes, we have our Forest Academy sweatshirts.
I need one of those.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm Ms. Gerdo. I think the biggest thing about this is that I've been teaching for a couple of years, and I've done it in Michigan and Indiana, and I've never met a group of kids that get so upset about not coming to school. I have one little girl who threw up in the car on the way to school, and her mom was like, I have to take her home, and she screamed the entire drive out of Camp Adventure. So the kids are really excited to be there, they're learning. And another part that I appreciate about this curriculum is that I'm teaching the kids about geography, which isn't common in the lower grades. And like, I have one student who, for the first 3 weeks of school, came up to me and he's like, you know, I live in North America, and like was constantly telling me that he lives in the continent North America. So these kids are fascinated about the world and they want to know more, and they get to in this environment as opposed to different preschool or kindergarten classes.
Well, thank you both for your work. So, Mr. Answer.
Oh, that was my name. Rick Yenser, newsman and author. I was out the other day and somebody sent me something about a protest here in Muncie with a few students that joined a national protest regarding what's going on in this country. Looked through your handbook, and I didn't see a real strong statement for freedom of speech. And I think some of you, especially you attorneys, know the old Tinker case against Des Moines back in '69 when I was a kid. And that case said that students do have a right to free speech, but you still have a right to discipline. And when I got a release, it wasn't clear just what the school was going to do about this. Talked to principal, and it didn't sound like he had a good list of who was or who wasn't passing out. But I would hope that the school board would make a statement, because we're getting a lot of noise on social media. And you know social media is where news is. And I don't see a lot of education, a lot of public education on social media. And I don't see media here in this town because it's a news desert. The paper's mailed and nobody listens to radio. So on the money end, I saw legal, and somebody asked, well, didn't they borrow millions to fix the field house and some of the roofs and things like that? Well, yeah, I remember. I think it's the last time I was here last year. I can't remember how much, but I see you wanted 300,000 more. So a little bit more explanation later about that, because after sitting around with the Coalition for Public Education the other day, you're losing millions from the state. They got rid of the DOE, the federal government. I don't even think public education is going to be around in our kids and grandkids' generation, the way the government is treating public education. I hope you speak out about that too, because again, in these days, you never know when a law will be passed or billions of dollars will be lost because of people that don't care about public education anymore. Thanks much.
Thank you, Mr. Answer. On the appropriation that you mentioned, that $300,000 is interest earnings on the monies that were received from the bond issue, correct?
Yeah, by law, we have to ask for an additional appropriation for the additional funds that we would receive. for that particular project. So
But those are earnings on dollars that.
that'll be, yeah, we are in the midst of that $19 million project, with $8 million of that for the field house, for the HVAC improvement project there. So
Yeah.
that's what that was about.
So it's not an additional borrowing, it's.
It's not
interest,
additional
it's-
borrowing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interest on that. Yeah, hold the money.
It gives us the additional authority
Correct,
to spend that money, so.
correct.
Would it be spent on the same renovation?
I believe the resolution would read that way, yes. Yes, deferred maintenance in the school corporation, specifically the field house. On the students, obviously, I'm familiar with the Tinker case, familiar with Hedgepeth. I'm sorry. Obviously, I'm familiar with the Tinker case. I think we had somewhere in the range of 40 students participate in a manner consistent with what was going on around the country in the state of Indiana. Obviously, wouldn't be at liberty to comment on specific discipline under FERPA, but generally speaking, if a student leaves campus during the day and doesn't have parental permission, it becomes unexcused, though under the policy, unexcused absences, the students still have a right to make up work. It just is an unexcused absence for that period. If they had received a call from parents regarding being off campus, that becomes an excused absence. So that's the sum substance of that issue. And again, it was, I think, an organically organized group based on what they were seeing on social media. And I think there was, 40, 45? Yeah. And they peacefully marched down to the city hall and marched back and expressed themselves appropriately without interference or obstruction. Okay.
No disruption with the school?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay, so we are on to the consent items in section 5 of your packet. Want to specifically thank those who donated to Panther Pantry, Pam Gilliland, Brian and Sarah Ann Fox, Northwest Bank, and Martha Songer to Central Boys Basketball. Thank you again for those donations. And then anything else, any questions regarding what's in the consent packet? Consent agenda, I should say. Do we have any new hires here tonight? No? Okay. Would entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Curriculum handbook, Mr. Graham, you gonna handle that?
So tonight, just real quickly, want to go through the high school curriculum handbook. I want to start by thanking Mr. Walker and his team at Muncie Central for updating the high school curriculum handbook. It's a document that's 141 pages long, contains every course that could be, and most of them are taught at Muncie Central, as well as graduation requirements, information on the new types of diplomas. This year, there were very minor revisions to the handbook. If you remember last year, we had several major revisions because the new graduation requirements went in for our current freshman class. So this year, they're very minor changes. We've removed a course from Purdue. Unfortunately, that was a course that was that we didn't want to remove, but it was cut by Purdue at the very beginning of the school year with some of their reductions. So that course is no longer offered, so that's not in our handbook. Just changed the names of some of our courses to match what they're currently called by the IDOE. The Health Service Pathway has changed names. Changed some of the updates in language. The Indiana College Core, that is what it's called now. It's not called the statewide transfer general education core certificate. So just really, Mr. Walker did kind of an update to some of the language, changing some of the language within that, and then also taking out some sections that don't apply anymore. There was a classes to career section that we don't do anymore. We use youth science and some of that for our looking at different careers. So just kind of an update there. You do remember that this is the first class this year that will not have a valedictorian and salutatorian. It's under the honors system. That language was updated about 4 years ago now. A change there. They've updated the colors of the ribbons and medals that students will have at graduation. White for cum laude, silver for magna cum laude, and a gold ribbon for summa cum laude. I believe the last number at the semester was 84 students are going to be recognized with one of those recognitions at graduation this year. That was kind of the midterm number. That number obviously could change with the end of the year, but definitely honoring a lot more students this year with one of those honors. So any questions on the handbook? It's very, like I said, very minimal changes this year to the curriculum handbook.
Any questions for Mr. Grimm? We dispensed with teaching Latin a few years ago, didn't we?
We know, we still do teach Latin.
Do we teach
So
it?
we do. So
Okay.
we still do.
You used to remember your Latin, right?
I do, yeah. I just wanted,
Yeah.
how many of our students know what those three things mean? We need, they should know what it means.
They should, but probably the only ones that are in the Latin class really have
Okay.
that idea, so.
Well, if you're gonna graduate with Latin honors, you should understand it.
We had total.
So if there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve those changes.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, is it possible Ivy Tech would pick up the engineering technology course?
It's possible. So we'd have to look into, see if they have the capability of doing that. So,
We always had students interested.
we did, and it was, one of those things that just came out like, literally like a week or
Yeah,
two before school
yeah, I
started.
remember.
We had to
I
change schedules, so.
Yeah, obviously, it's frustrating, but it seems like in 2026 that if we could find Ivy, this is a class I hate to lose.
Yeah.
For our students.
Some of the materials that are in that lab, like the robotic arms and stuff, are right across the
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
They're at
so,
Ivy Tech,
so I wonder if Ivy Tech would be willing to pick that up. So if you would check with them.
I sure will.
Thanks. Mr. Jerome, we're going to revisit what you just discussed a second ago and the resolutions in the materials.
Yep, thank you. This is the part where I'm asking the board permission to advertise for a public hearing that'll come up in March for the additional appropriation for the current bond project that we're doing. This particular bond project does involve the renovation improvement project includes the Muncie Fieldhouse. This would be the last winter of a rented boiler on a semi-truck like we've done. So this project will add heating as well as cooling. The Fieldhouse has never really had cooling, it's just been hot. Or it's not been, so anyway, this particular project, asking permission to advertise for this additional appropriation of $300,000. That's the amount that will be in the legal ad that'll come out in March 4th, and the public hearing that'll be at our board meeting on March 17th. So asking the board permission tonight to advertise for this public hearing.
Any questions for Mr. Jerome? Entertain a motion to approve. Been moved and seconded for permission to advertise. And again, as I understand it, these are projected earnings on funds that are being secured through the bond issue that was approved earlier this year.
Yeah, that is correct.
That this does not impact tax rates or anything else.
No, that's already included as part of the original $19.8 million project.
Okay. Okay, moved and second, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. We'll show it pass. Board dialogue. I'll go back, Mr. Answer, to just a moment on your dicta on the issue of public education. This board shares many of those same concerns. We've been talking about it, I think, on a pretty regular basis in these meetings for at least the last 6 months periodically as we look at the future and the impact of what is now SEA 1, Senate Enrolled Act 1, and the impact on Muncie and Delaware County. It's not insignificant. DOE, the issues at the federal level, the issues involving on my way pre-K and the benefits that has supplied to our students and their families and those most vulnerable has been significant. And those decisions taken at another level have put us in a position where there will ultimately, in all likelihood, be hard choices. And we are cognizant of them, and we are planning through them and talking regularly with our consultants at Baker Tilly, but would again urge those members watching tonight and others to reach out to their respective legislator to urge that they revisit the issues created by SEA 1 as it concerns the function of our system as well as many others across the state. So with that, I have nothing further. Mr. Yenser, you're also here as media. Do you have any additional questions or?
Yeah, Brad, your cash balance on December 31st. I remember last year you said you had about 30 million in cash left on it.
Yeah, at the end of December, we were just under $40 million, which was up compared to the prior year end. And that's a very, very healthy cash balance. And we had showed the graphs and charts for the year end that have continued to rise over the last 7 years through so many different projects and so many different things that have gone well at Muncie schools. And so it was a positive report with our end of the year cash.
So, and the reason it was higher this year, Mr. Yenser, was the bond funds that came in.
The piece, there was one piece, yes.
Before, yes.
Well, there was
one chunk of it, one tranche of it came in before the end of the year. And again, those bond funds and the decision to undertake the bonding last spring was driven, at least in significant part, by actions at the state level so that we could get out and do deferred maintenance on buildings that otherwise was not going to get done. So.
Other buildings, I don't remember.
South Side Central, roofs at several elementaries, doors at Central Middle School, security doors there.
Roofs throughout the district.
Yeah, so it's general deferred maintenance on
Yes.
buildings.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I'd love to have media here at every meeting.
We don't have media.
I know. Well, we have you. Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you all.